NBC5 News at 6 starts now.
Suspects in custody. Police in Klamath Falls believe they have the men who shot at a law officer's home over the weekend. Good evening and thank you for choosing NBC5 News at 6. I'm Craig Small.
And I'm Kristen Hosfeld. We'll get to that story in just a moment, but first, the Oregon House votes to increase the minimum wage despite Republican efforts to push the issue to the November ballot.
The bill creates a tiered system to raise the minimum wage over 6 years in 3 different categories: Portland, rural counties, and everywhere else. Wages would be incrementally increased until 2022, where the baseline would hit $13.50, the rural wage $12.50, and the Portland wage $14.75. The House passed the bill 32-26, largely along party lines. The Senate voted the bill through last week. It'll now head to Governor Kate Brown's desk for her signature. She has pledged to sign it. Ashland Democratic Representative Peter Buckley said in a statement, quote, "Our economy is strong, but too many families are struggling. The status quo is not acceptable. This bill is one step I believe we must take to help the working families of our state and move towards fairness in Oregon's economy," end quote. On the other side, Republican Representative Greg Smith, who chairs the House Republican Budget Committee, said in part, quote, "We owe it to Oregonians to fully vet this proposal, figure out what it is going to cost taxpayers, and make sure we have a plan for addressing those costs. To not do so is a failure of one of our most fundamental responsibilities as legislators, managing the budget," end quote.
NBC5 News spoke with workers today about how this bill will impact them. While some say their employers already pay above the state's $9.25 minimum wage, other workers tell us this will make a big difference.
It would make living on my own a possibility, for example, and definitely ease some of the stress off of trying to figure out work and college and, car payments, gas prices, any of that stuff. It takes a huge toll on someone my age. Again,
the bill now heads to Governor Kate Brown's desk. One storm system may be moving out tonight, but I hear another will be moving in for the end of our work week. Meteorologist Adam Kolpak joining us now live with a first look at the forecast. Hi, Adam.
Hi, Kristen. Yeah, we got another system going to give us more rain, snow for the mountains, and also some wind. What about the weekend? I'm going to have the full details on all of it in the next few minutes. Back to you.
Adam, thank you. Klamath Falls police say they have a pair of
and Sokol streets were hit by 7 to 9 shots around 10:30 Saturday night. The homeowner told NBC5 News one bullet missed him by just 18 inches. Luckily, no one was injured. Late this afternoon, KFPD told NBC5 News that the man they believe is the shooter, 25-year-old Antonio Miguel Pena, is in police custody, but he's not been charged yet. Police say they've recovered a semi-automatic handgun from Pena that they believe was the weapon used over the weekend. While Pena hasn't been arrested, a second suspect, 27-year-old Clinton Richard Taylor, is charged with criminal conspiracy to commit assault in the first degree.
A car theft suspect wanted for a long time by police is finally in custody, thanks in part to the help of some brave car dealership employees.
NBC5's Matt Jordan is live at the Lithia Dodge dealership in Medford with the amazing details. Matt?
That's right. When Medford police closed in on one of the suspects, he took off through this showroom, which was filled with customers and employees at the time. Some of those employees did try to stop him, but he pulled out a knife and started slashing, actually cutting the coat of one of those employees. Now, luckily, no one was hurt, but Medford police say that suspect, Casey Toomey, then ran out into the parking lot and across a busy Highway 62 with Lithia employees and a police detective in pursuit. One employee caught up to Toomey, but backed off after he was threatened with the knife. MPD says the employees definitely helped apprehend Toomey, but warned that cases like this can be very dangerous.
I applaud the employees for assisting our lone detective that obviously would have had his hands full if he tried to apprehend this guy on his own, but I also worry that an innocent person could be hurt for somebody that's basically just trying to get away from the cops and steal a car.
A plainclothes police detective was able to arrest Toomey at the nearby Rogue Disposal Center that's across the street. The 2 other suspects in the car theft were arrested, taken into custody, but they were later released. Toomey himself is facing several charges, including second-degree assault, along with some prior warrants. In Medford, Matt Jordan, NBC5 News.
Matt, thank you. A Medford Hotel's parking lot plays host to an intense scene this afternoon as police respond to a call of a stolen van with their guns drawn, only to find the occupants sleeping inside. According to witnesses at the scene, this van belonging to a local farming company was stolen from Covina Avenue in Medford earlier this week. A passerby at the Rogue Regency called the vehicle in, and police, along with the van's owners, arrived to find a man and a woman had been living inside the van since the theft.
A couple of people in it still. One of them was sleeping and one of them was looking out the window, and they just came and they got him out by gunpoint.
The van's occupants were both taken into custody and are facing unauthorized use of a motor vehicle, among other charges. And in the wake of the San Bernardino shooting last year, the FBI is asking Apple to unlock one of the shooter's phones. Apple said no, citing security concerns.
You saw the story on NBC5 News Wednesday, but now local police say it's an issue they're familiar with. In our area, computer forensic examiners with the Southern Oregon High-Tech Crimes Task Force say there's a need for law enforcement to have access to secure devices. Colin Fagan with the task force says the information in a device like a computer or phone can be the key in prosecuting some of the worst criminals.
The only way that we get it is through signed consent, and sometimes we have someone that's received information that didn't want it, that signs consent over to us to extract information from their device, or through the very high standard of a probable cause search warrant.
Fagan says while they are trying to stay one step ahead of security advances, it is important for the general public to keep their personal information secure.
A Klamath Falls man is in jail tonight on a charge of first-degree arson and 20 counts of reckless endangerment. Police say 43-year-old Daniel Stephen Butt started a fire in his closet at an apartment complex on North 5th Street. The incident happened around 1:30 this morning. According to police reports, Butt started the fire in an effort to have law enforcement arrive to speak to his neighbors about a harassment complaint. The apartment building was evacuated and fire crews were able to contain the fire. There were no injuries. And deputies and family members are asking for help finding an elderly man who went missing in Grants Pass. 84-year-old Donald DuBose was last seen in the area of Avenue de Teresa wearing only a white t-shirt and socks. He's considered endangered because he suffers from Alzheimer's and dementia. If you live in the area, you're asked to search your property and outbuildings for DuBose. If you have any information, contact police.
Search and rescue crews near Crescent City recovered 2 bodies in Smith River from an accident back more than 2 months ago. California Highway Patrol says a car went off the side of US 199 and rolled down the embankment into the river December 5th. The vehicle was completely submerged in water. Due to the rising water and swift current, Del Norte rescue crews had trouble recovering the car and the occupants. CHP is fairly certain the car and bodies recovered are from the December crash, but are awaiting positive identification. Another rash of car break-ins in the Rogue Valley overnight. Central Point Police is releasing this surveillance footage from a homeowner on Vincent Avenue, which captures 3 suspects. CPPD says the break-ins were concentrated around White Oak and Ridgeway, with several windows smashed. Police urge everyone to keep an eye and ear out for anything suspicious and to call them if you think you've seen something. Nearly 50 cars in Medford and more in Ashland have also been broken into over the past week.
New tonight, the city of Medford cracking down on what it calls nuisance properties. This afternoon, Medford city councilors voted to begin the foreclosure process on some 24 homes that the city is paid to clean up, board up, or deal with other issues. The 29 properties that have fallen into disrepair, and together, the property owners owe the city more than $50,000. Houses that are currently occupied will not be foreclosed upon at this time.
Jackson County Commissioners approve a 75-foot setback requirement for marijuana grows in the county. The rule will apply to medical marijuana grows on rural residential zoned land and is intended to serve as a buffer for neighbors. It came down to a 2-to-1 vote, with Commissioner Colleen Roberts opposing any setback whatsoever. Commissioner Rick Dyer says although he originally wanted to see a larger buffer, he was happy to compromise so the topic can move forward.
I was pushing more for 100 foot. 75 feet was the compromise, and I feel that it does adequately address the concerns of all involved.
Commissioners will meet again next Thursday to review all of their decisions. Over the last few months, they've agreed on water use, deciding that growers cannot use domestic wells and must pay to have water brought to the property if no other option exists.
The fate of the Yreka Police Department is being discussed tonight. Yreka Mayor John Mercier is considering giving all law enforcement duties to the Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office. The agenda item includes 2 options for the council to discuss: sending 911 dispatch duties to the county and contracting all law enforcement duties in Yreka city limits to the Sheriff's Office. Public comment will be allowed. Earlier this week, the Karuk tribe gave their support to the department. The meeting starts at 6:30. We'll have the complete story for you tonight on NBC5 News at 11.
Are you ready to take the plunge for Special Olympics? This Saturday, people across the Rogue Valley will be jumping in the cold waters of the Jackson Aquatic Center, all to raise money for Special Olympics Oregon. This year's plunge will again feature a costume contest and plenty of food vendors. You can jump as an individual or as part of a team, but you must raise a minimum of $50 to jump, though it should be noted that people who raise money are not required to do the plunge.
Oh, I've done it. It's bad. It's bad. And by that I mean the best. The Polar Plunge is the largest fundraiser for Special Olympics Oregon and helps fund teams like the Jackson Spirits. These athletes participate in a variety of sports that are free to them and their families. That is why the plunge is so important, because as the athletes will tell you, their time on the court or the field means everything to them.
I'm actually really glad I have something to do on some days. That I can run around and play with friends.
Nice spin move. That's Plumlee saying traveling in the bonding time with her teammates is her other favorite part of Special Olympics. And if you want to take the plunge, it's this Saturday at the Jackson Aquatic Center in Medford. Check-in runs from 8:30 to 10:45. The costume contest starts at 10:30 with official festivities beginning at 11. It is free to watch, but in order to dive again, you must raise at least $50. Visit plungeoregon.com for more details and how to sign up.
Hopefully some of that warmer weather we've had has brought the temperatures up just a bit, maybe.
Yes, it's quite cold. It's February. That's why it's the polar plunge.
Yes, exactly. And now checking in with NBC5's Art Barron for what's coming up tonight on Your Place at 7.
Art, what do you have for us?
There's an expression that people refer to as hangry. Do you know what that is?
Oh, yeah.
You've heard of it before?
No, I get hangry.
Yes.
You're hungry
I'm familiar.
and you're angry, but you're angry simply because you're hungry.
Mm-hmm.
You know? So one woman went ballistic. She went miles above that. She went ballistic. She was at Wendy's. She ended up attacking the manager because her order was wrong.
Oh, gosh.
See how it ended and what happened to the irate customer.
That's taken hangry to a whole new level.
Yes,
oh, my.
it is. Wow. Yeah, no, she really went overboard.
Oh, boy.
I think so. I'm guessing so. I don't know where it's going, but judging by some of the video and what you're teasing here, I think it's pretty bad.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the worst thing is when you pull up to the drive-thru, right? You've ordered everything for your kids, and then you get back and you're missing like tacos or burgers or this or that. But
doesn't mean you end up behind bars.
Right, exactly.
Mistakes happen.
Right.
All right. Look forward to it. Thanks very much. Well, Pope Francis wading into the U.S. political race.
What he's saying about Donald Trump's faith and why.
But first, only on NBC5 News tonight, how one drug saves lives after an overdose and why experts say you may need it in your home. Next. Bill Cosby is suing one of the women accusing him of rape. Lawyers for Cosby filed a lawsuit against Andrea Constand, according to a newly filed redacted complaint. In the suit, Cosby claims Constand violated a 2006 settlement when she worked with the Montgomery County DA as they investigated a rape allegation. Cosby wants back the more than $75,000 he paid in the settlement. Lawyers from neither side would comment on the lawsuit. A Vietnamese couple is accused of trying to smuggle some $4.65 million in fake money into the U.S.
U.S. Customs and Border Patrol officers found the funny money Friday as the couple arrived at Detroit Metro Airport. According to federal agents, the couple attempted to import the counterfeit bills and Vietnamese dong into the U.S. and burn it as an offering to the deceased. Agents say because the Vietnamese couple never tried to spend the money, they were not arrested and allowed to continue on their travels.
It's not fire season, but fire crews are battling a massive grass fire that's burning out of control on the Kansas-Missouri border. Fire units from both states were called in to help. The fire destroyed at least 2 older barns and scorched several acres of land. The National Weather Service has upgraded the fire weather watch to a fire weather warning. Residents have been advised to avoid burning and to dispose cigarette butts properly.
In a surprise move today, Pope Francis waded into the U.S. presidential election. Asked about Donald Trump, the pontiff said a person who would build a wall on the U.S.-Mexican border is not Christian. Fellow Republicans who support building a wall, and several of whom are Catholics, backed Trump. Meanwhile, Democrat Bernie Sanders, who opposes a wall, courted black leaders in Washington. Hillary Clinton was in Las Vegas last night with union workers. The Nevada caucus for the Dems and South Carolina primary for the Republicans are on Saturday. Thousands of active duty troops suffer from post-traumatic stress disorder and depression, and a new study reveals that the military is struggling to provide adequate care for them.
The RAND Corp study reviewed 40,000 cases and released its results today. The group found many of the troops with PTSD and depression are not getting the minimum number of therapy sessions. The minimum number of therapy sessions after being diagnosed, according to military guidelines, is 4 within 8 weeks, or at least 2 sessions to manage newly prescribed medications. Officials blame it on a lack of mental health professionals and say the military will turn to civilian therapists who are available through Pentagon contracts.
President Obama announces today that he will be traveling to Cuba in March. During the trip, the president will meet with Cuban President Raul Castro, Cuban entrepreneurs, and members of civil society, according to a White House statement. The announcement comes after the administration said they would seek to normalize relations with Cuba in 2014. And in August of 2015, Secretary of State John Kerry visited the U.S. Embassy, where they raised the U.S. flag, signaling the start of diplomatic relations for the first time in 50 years.
The FBI searched a California home connected to a relative of one of the San Bernardino shooters. Federal agents served a search warrant on this home in Corona early this morning. The home is connected to the brother of shooter Syed Farouk. The FBI searched this home before. Agents carried out a box of things and a computer. Officials would not disclose the nature of this search, only saying they were looking for evidence in an ongoing investigation. And a car accident in a suburb of L.A. killed one person and knocked out power to hundreds. Police responded to the accident just before 6 last night. First responders say a truck slammed into a power pole and caused several transformers it was holding to come crashing down on the vehicle. More than 200 people were without power.
A house full of marijuana goes up in flames in Southern California. Someone reported a neighbor's garage had caught fire overnight north of L.A. Firefighters arrived and quickly put out the flames. That's when they realized both the unattached garage and the house were filled with weed. Both had been converted into marijuana grow homes. Nobody was at the home, so no one has been arrested. SoCal Gas Company says it has capped the gas leak at its Aliso Canyon facility. The company released infrared video Wednesday that shows the affected area. The company says the video proves the leak has been stopped. Natural gas started leaking from the storage well near Porter Ranch at the end of October. Residents of more than 2,200 homes had to evacuate. A state of emergency was issued by the governor last month.
More than 40,000 Oregonians were victims of tax fraud between 2013 and 2015. The Oregonian reports the U.S. Attorney's Office in the state says a half dozen people are suspected of stealing private information from more than 250,000 people. The scheme is suspected to have generated nearly $5 million in profits. The group got the information from a Lincoln City background company. The breach was discovered in early 2015. 5 of the men are scheduled to go on trial in May. The 6th is being extradited to Oregon from Georgia. The fight for the overhead bin space on the airline may be coming to an end.
Where manufacturing giant Airbus is proposing to store your carry-ons instead, and why it could leave you with even less legroom.